We're going to have the executive director, I think that's the title, of the Northfield Community Action Center, Jim Blaha, with us in a moment. But first of all, Pete, thanks for having us again here at Professional Pride Realty.
Well, it's always a pleasure. You'll have to excuse me. I have a bit of a cold.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Today, but I think it was from too much shoveling.
Okay. Well, I shovel a lot, too.
Don't make me laugh either, because then it's really going to get disastrous.
I'll try not to do that. But we really appreciate you doing this.
You know what? I love it. It's the best part of my week.
And it was your suggestion that we have community action, and now I know why. When I looked at their website, all the things they do, such terrific things here in Northfield.
It is an incredible organization for the people in Northfield. It really is.
I mean, talk about neighbors helping neighbors. That's community action. We'll probably talk more in our second segment with Jim about that, but you have some information in front of you I think you want to share with our listeners.
Well, year-end, I went over some market stats, and I thought there were a couple of things worth pointing out. Just as an example, our average sales price for Independent School District 659 rose again this year to $262,610. That's an average sale price. And as an example, from 2014 on, we have seen a substantial increase every year. Back in 2014, we were at $219,000. In 2015, we went to $224,000. Last year was $245,000, and this year is $262,000. So the average price has risen. Also, something that is a point of interest, that as an industry, we are holding our percent of asking price received right now is at 98.3%. So we're very much getting what we are asking in the marketplace here. So
that's good to know.
Kind of exciting.
Oh. Should we be concerned with that kind of an increase? Remember the boom and bust years?
You bet. We absolutely should be. We don't want to grow too fast. There's always going to be a concern when we see increases like that. So I think it's a little more related to the inventory, but something that I think at least could be overcome at this point.
Well, that's good to know. That's some interesting statistics. That's just in the Northfield School District.
Yep, that is correct.
You know how that compares to the state?
Is
it higher than average, I guess, is what I'm...
No, I wouldn't say it's higher than average. I would say it's very similar to some of the South Metro cities, like Rosemont, Apple Valley, Farmington. Those numbers would be very similar.
I'm just guessing, not being educated in the field or anything, but I'm just guessing that's about 100,000 more than Faribault.
That's you're probably spot on with that number.
Spot on.
Yep.
You heard that.
Nicely done.
Spot on. I was spot on. That never happened. Pete's being very nice. We're going to take a little break here, find out how our opening markets are doing, speaking of numbers, and then we're going to visit with Mr. Blaha. We got some other guests that have stopped in to the conference room here at Professional Pride Realty in Northfield. Yes, we're in their beautiful conference room here in Northfield. I'm looking out at Highway 3 even as I speak. Very picturesque site you have here, Pete.
Thank you. We love our windows.
Yeah.
We get to see a lot going on out there in the hustle and bustle of Northfield.
And there is a hustle and bustle, too. I took a different way here.
Were you hustling or bustling?
Probably won't be taking that way again. I went the back way to the bakery and came back this way and didn't realize I couldn't turn left. So
yeah. Complicated.
Yeah. Highway 3, they did all that within the last couple of years, right? Used to be you could come straight through.
Yep.
But I suppose a lot of collisions.
Yeah, there were lots of accidents out there, and they wanted to create a nice corridor for the west side of town and the east side of town to connect with the downtown.
Yeah.
So they adjusted that.
We are going to visit with Jim Blaha, the Executive Director of the Northfield Community Action Center.
We are, and I will hand the mic over.
And I know Todd Bornhauser stopped by and Lisa Peterson have stopped by to give us some more information. Jim, it's nice to meet you.
Gordy, it's my pleasure. Thanks for allowing me to talk to people about the Community Action Center.
Well, Pete asked that we get you on,
Thanks,
and
Pete.
boy, what a great suggestion, because when I looked at your website, I couldn't believe all the fantastic things you do here in Northfield.
We're a 50-year-old organization this year, and we've been doing the same thing ever since we started back in October of '68. And food, clothing, shelter, the primary basic needs services for everyone. And according to the founders, the founding mothers, and information. We want to make sure that people can get a hold of the right information and navigate the systems they need to find what they need for their families to keep them healthy.
We'd be here till next year if I went down all the things you do, but maybe we could touch on services.
We're probably best known for our food shelf activities. You know, we talk about the Northfield food shelf, and that's been run by CAC since we started. We began with a food shelf and a clothes closet over in the parsonage of the UCC, and then branched out from there to another dormant church location on Woodley and Division for a long time until we relocated to the Northfield Community Resource Center with a few other agencies there to kind of increase the spin of our service. But we have since expanded our programming into employment services with the Northfield Works program, where we try to keep our clients ready and able to go to work. Many of them have personal barriers and have some perhaps disabilities in play and find it difficult to get back into the market. You know, they may have been in the market, but not successfully all the way along. So that's what we're trying to end poverty by helping people back onto their feet in a wholesome and solid way.
So Habitat for Humanity part of your organization?
No, Habitat is a separate group, but very related because we do a lot of work. We keep the guys from Habitat from rusting over the winter by giving them projects occasionally around the NCRC there. They helped us redesign our food shelf here a couple years ago. They've helped us in other ways. And we help by referring families who could use that kind of housing over to Habitat.
And the clothes closet's located at 600 Water Street South?
Correct.
That's right?
Right. We're over there on the green corner of the River Park Mall. We've got the clothes closet, and then 2 doors down we've got the used a bit that's run by the senior center. And somehow or another, Carboni's got in between us there. I don't know, but it's a good place if you want to find some used clothing or used furniture, small appliances, and we support part of our programs by whatever we make in profit over there.
You have transportation services?
We have a what we call the CAAR program, CAAR, Community Action Auto Recycling. And up until now, we've been able to turn cars around. We become the owner so that the donor can take the tax deduction fully. And then once we get the paperwork, we can turn the title around to a family who needs a vehicle and who can afford the insurance and the upkeep of the vehicle.
So chances are, if I don't,
gift.
Sorry, but chances are, if I donate to you, I'm going to get more for it than if I trade it in.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Plus, I get the tax benefit.
Well, hopefully that continues. I'm not sure what the new tax bill is going to do to us, but I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, let's hope.
We just haven't found out yet. A lot of research there to be done in the tax bill.
Well, you're too young to be the executive director for 50 years, right?
Well, I'm not. Haven't been the executive director for 50 years. I've been there now going on 18 years, but I have been in the business 50 years. I started in just about that same time. As CAC was being founded, I was working in St. Paul, on the east side of St. Paul, working in community human services with people who were low income in St. Paul there.
You didn't happen to go to one of the Northfield colleges, did you?
No, Northfield was like the other side of the world to me, up there. Of course, Minneapolis was too, as parochial as St. Paul can be, but we made the venture. And I wanted to do a little hobby farming, and so we moved here and built the house and plowed up I-35 for 17 years until I was able to find a job here with CAC.
So you still do some hobby farming?
Well, I have bees, and so far that keeps me more than busy. I feel a little neglectful of them sometimes, but with the time demands of the work. But that'll change.
Is your honey available here in town?
Oh no, I leave it for the bees. My intent is to keep bees alive, and until I can do that, I'm not going to take too much honey from them. I'll take it in the spring if they survive the winter. Yeah, it's a fun opportunity. It kind of keeps me grounded, and it's important that we keep the bees alive, because 1 out of 3 mouthfuls that we consume is dependent pretty much on the honeybee. There are other bees who pollinate, but the honeybee is the most effective pollinator. But that just grounds me with my work in the food shelf. And our food shelf recently got designated as one of 8 food shelves in the state to become a super shelf, where we will work towards better, healthier food fare offerings, sourcing food, and employ some of the new marketing standards and so forth that retail grocers use to promote healthy eating, more produce consumption, and better food choices. Ours has been a choice model all the way along. We try to hold a standard of 36 pounds per head per visit, and so far we're able to do that. We hope to increase that maybe by some of the super shelf assistance that we'll get through the University of Minnesota. So we'll get a little data out of this too. They'll send some researchers along and help us shape our program better.
And I know the food shelf won a statewide award here last year. We'll get to that in a moment. But first of all, Todd must have stopped by for some information you want to pass along to the listeners there, Todd?
I'm going to pass it along to Lisa because I know she had a couple of things that are coming up that she wanted to talk about. So.
Oh, sure. What you got coming up outside of that? You're going to talk about the ice fishing again?
Yes, I'm going to talk about ice fishing again. So the ice fishing tournament is this weekend. So if you want to be part of this awesome opportunity, you need to visit www.naic.com and register for the Cedar Lake, Minnesota Rice County tournament. Everything starts Friday night. We have some awesome fishing seminars. And if you think that you know everything about ice fishing, just come anyways, because it's a good opportunity to hang out with some other people who want to talk ice fishing, and maybe you might learn a trick or two. You never know. The seminars start at 5 o'clock, and they are at Jesse James Lanes here in Northfield. Tomorrow we have ice fishing camp for kids. That starts at 1 p.m. also at Jesse James Lanes. Kids are going to learn all about the fundamentals of ice fishing, and then at about 2, they're going to, everybody is invited to go out to Union Lake and practice what they've learned. So it's a great opportunity to teach kids how to fish and then get outside and do something fun outside. Then on Sunday is the big tournament. And that starts at 8 a.m. That is on Cedar Lake in Faribault. And help me, Gordy, with the name of the resort, because I'm sure you're familiar with what it is.
Oh, Lemieux's Resort.
Lemieux's, yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure how to pronounce that.
It's French.
It is French.
It's
yes.
French, yes. Like Faribault. Like
Yes.
Faribault. Lemieux.
Like French fry. So that happens at 8 o'clock. Weigh-in starts at 2, and that, again, is at the Jesse James Lanes here in Northfield. So this weekend is big for ice fishing in Northfield and in Faribault. So I hope that all of your listeners will hop on the web and sign up for the tournament. 2-person teams, it's $200 per entry, and you have the opportunity to win almost $6,000 if you are the big winner. And then the top 10 teams go to the national championship, which happens next December. So it's a big deal. This is the Minnesota qualifier for the national championship.
That $6,000 would buy a lot of food for the food shop.
It sure would. It sure would. The second thing I just want to quickly talk about, Friday February 9th and Saturday, February 10th, we have Yeti Fest happening here in Northfield. It is going to be a celebration of winter. So if you like all things winter activities, I suggest that you get down to Northfield at on Friday 4 to 8 at Keepsake Cidery. There's going to be a ski and snowshoe party. That's going to be really pretty and really fun. And then all evening at Armory Square and Imminent Brewery, there's going to be s'mores and music and a Yeti look-alike contest. Then on Saturday, they're going to have, this is all at Armory Square, a story hour, a snowman building contest. Maria's Taco Hut is going to be there. There's going to be a fat tire bike ride. And then my favorite thing, there's going to be a Long John's fashion show happening in the evening. So that sounds kind of interesting. There's also going to be another snowshoe and brew tour by Gear Resource. So if you want to have more information on any of these activities, visit imminentbrewing.com.
When
That's
is
all
that?
I got.
Where's the Long John?
The Long John fashion show happens at 8 p.m. at the Armory on Saturday the 10th.
You going to be one of the models?
I doubt it.
Yeah. Todd, are you going to be one of the models for the Long John?
You know, I'll be thinking about you as I'm sitting on the beach in Hawaii. So
Seriously, you're going to Hawaii?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list.
I have the opportunity to have one of my sons, Mitchell, whose baseball team will be playing.
Oh, cool. Yes.
University of Hawaii Pacific. So Mom and Dad are going to go out and spend a few days and watch him play a little baseball. So
he goes to University of Hawaii Pacific?
He does not. He goes to University of Minnesota Crookston.
But
they are going out to Hawaii to play a few games, and they'll be down in March down in Florida to play a few games.
That's what got him in that school, right? When they were recruiting him, they said, we're going to Hawaii.
I think they were all kind of shocked when they heard this fall that they were going to be heading out there. So,
well, I don't blame you. I'd be going out there too.
Pretty exciting. So, Eminent Brewing, we'll mention them because they are the 28th Business of the Year. And Rick Edstison with First National Bank is the 28th Business Person of the Year.
They were on the show last time we were on.
And Julie Haley is the 28th Ambassador of the Year. And they will all be recognized tonight at the 98th Annual Chamber Annual Meeting and Business Recognition Banquet, sponsored by Professional Pride Realty. So
way to go, Pete.
We're going to hit everybody today. So we thank Pete Mergens and once again to stepping up, and a former winner as well. And we really appreciate that. So if anyone would like to attend, we still have maybe a seat or two. We have over 200 for attendance tonight, so that's a record. So we're really, really excited to be able to recognize those businesses and really celebrate with all of the Chamber as we get close to our 60-year anniversary as being the Chamber. And then in 2020, we'll celebrate really our 100-year anniversary as an organization, starting in 1920 as the Northfield Commercial Club. So we've got a lot of things that are celebrations here over the next couple of years. And after we get done with this, we'll start packing our office because we'll be moving February 1st. So lots of exciting stuff for us, but really, I'd like to turn it back to Jim because there's a lot of great things that the CAC does. We haven't covered nearly enough of those. So
wow. We've only touched the surface, right, Jim?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
We have.
Well, I'll shut up and let you talk.
And as Todd was talking about Hawaii, I bet you he could win the Long John's Award out there. Or at least a little recognition.
I'm sure he's not going to miss.
Our current challenge, if you want to know what's got us against the wall, is housing, and it's Pete's business. Yes, we have $262,000 houses, but when we can't house a workforce in town and have to import people by bus for a few days and put them up someplace, it's a challenge. Plus, we've got the highest homeless numbers that I've seen in my history coming at us. We had last year 129 people, 49 of whom were kids, were coming through our shelters for service, and that's a standard that we don't want to keep. We want to do something about that. So we keep trying to think of what kind of emergency housing could we create, or could we find somehow a different way to take care of people who bump up against that kind of catastrophe. That's a terrorizing kind of place to be if you've got kids in the house. Some older adults, but when we got families coming through, that's a heartbreaker.
And most of these people, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, have jobs.
Most of the people have jobs, maybe multiple jobs, but they're not earning enough income to pay their housing, or they bump into some other issues with landlords or neighbors that bump them out of the lease. If they, we've got people who are doubled up, and you can't have a doubled up tenant situation for very long, and if you try to house some of your family members from another town who come into the same issues, it's a goodbye tenant. Find a different place to live, and that's not something that we can abide. So we try to keep looking at ways of creating more not only affordable housing in town, but emergency housing, which is our primary corner in that business. Community housing is part of Three Rivers Community Action's work, where they will, they're the CHODO, the so-called community housing organization developer that would go out and do the major development projects. In fact, they're looking at some now with the HRA, Housing Redevelopment Authority here south of town. But it takes a long time and a lot of hands in the work to get that kind of opportunity going and create that kind of housing.
Still need volunteers?
We do. We talk about our services to people who are low income in the Northfield School District a lot, but one of the other primary ways that we act for our community is in creating volunteer opportunities. There are many volunteer opportunities through the Community Action Center. Some of them are seasonal, some of them are daily, some of them are very significant. When we have the Christmas sharing program, we probably put about 400 people to work and see about that many families coming through. This year we served 806 kids in Christmas gifts and family quilts and books and homemade pajamas. It's a heartwarming opportunity for volunteers, and one that will allow them to visit with somebody at least annually. See you next year, same time, same place, and that's great. We have people working in the food shelf as we speak, collecting from the the retail grocers in town, who give us about 15,000 pounds a month to turn around and give out through the food shelf. So it's a great opportunity and a service to people who want to be part of that kind of operation and contribute altruistically to their community. The Northfield Works program has more defined and primary kinds of volunteer opportunities. They could be mentors, they could be teaching digital literacy, they could be working as a financial coach, and we're putting a lot of people to work voluntarily. And that's how we started. We depend on volunteers. We've got 18, I think, FTE when we're here fully staffed up, and maybe about 23 employees with us. So we can't do it alone. We depend on over 1,200 volunteers throughout the year.
All right, check out their website, folks. They do so many great things. Pete, before we go, thanks again for having us today.
The pleasure's all mine. As you can understand and hear from Jim, the CAC is an incredible organization that helps out here in town.
Yeah, boy. You guys are lucky to have it.
Extremely.
Community Action Center right here in Northfield. Again, thanks, Pete.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's our AM Minnesota from Professional Pride Realty in Northfield.